Welcome back, everybody. So it's Free For All Friday. We've got Max and Kevin here to ask some nutrition questions today, rapid fire style. These are questions that they've come up with on their own. I do not know what they're going to ask me. They're going to be good ones, right? They're going to be tough ones?
Definitely.
Controversial ones?
Yeah.
Yeah, we're going to stir the pot a little bit?
Yep.
All right, cool. So yeah, let me know what you guys got, and we'll keep these in context to muscle building and maybe a bit of fat loss.
Okay, perfect.
Okay.
All right, so Vince, our first question for you is, what's your take on eating meals throughout the day? Is it better to eat 3 meals a day or 5 to 7 as long as you hit your calorie intake mark?
Hitting your calorie intake mark is the most important thing. And then once you've got that figured out, I think you want to look at what is sustainable. All right? The best diet is the one that you stick to. All right? So for some people, eating 6 meals a day is not sustainable, because it's just too frequent. For certain guys who are big, eating 3 meals a day is not sustainable because that's just a crap load of food every time they have to eat. So the best meal frequency is the one that you can stick with, that allows you to get all your calories and macros in. Are there certain meal frequencies that are more effective than others? I think so. When you become more advanced and when your goal is, let's say you're getting ready for a show, or you've got a you've been training for years and you're looking to optimize things even further. When you're just getting started, I don't put too much stress on meal frequency. I prefer you to just get all your calories and macros spread out over a meal cadence that's sustainable for you. Does that make sense?
Yeah, perfect sense.
Okay, good. So, what it may look like is we start off with 3 meals a day, and then we go to 4, and then we go to 5, and see how you're feeling. Some guys notice no difference having all their food over 3 meals or 5 meals. And if that's the case, we'll leave it. But I like people to experiment, because if you don't know what you don't know, right? If you think that what you're doing is optimal, but you haven't tried other methods, you may be missing out. Okay. Right? And the only way to figure it out is by testing, not by reading and listening to what other people are saying in forums. Does that help?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
So when you're cooking in bulk and making a lot of meals during the beginning of the week, sometimes your food gets dried out. So what would be a good way to keep, for example, chicken breasts, moist throughout the
chicken's not tasting so good after a few days?
Yeah.
All right, buy a thermometer. And I believe the temperature is around 155 degrees, maybe 160. But take your chicken out once it hits that, because there's still residual heat inside the chicken. So if you go until it's like white, until you think it's done, you cut it open, and you're like, oh, it's not fully cooked, then you're going to overcook it because you're forgetting that there's still residual heat. All right, so you have to understand this. I learned this from a chef recently I just hired for myself, and she taught me this whole concept of residual heat. And there's certain temperatures you take the steak out, the fish out, and the chicken out, and then if you take them out at those temperatures, the residual heat will cook it all the way through, but just perfectly. So what's happening is you're overcooking your chicken, which is why my chicken breast tastes better than your chicken breast.
All right, Vince, I got a good question for you. What's your choice of protein source when you're preparing for a contest and when you're bulking? Like, do you stay away from like red meats when you're preparing for a contest, and you go more towards like leaner protein, like chicken breast or like tilapia?
Heck no.
No?
I know a lot of fitness models who go super lean on their protein sources. All they eat are like fish and chicken. Huge mistake. Huge mistake. They just shoot their testosterone levels into the floor. So you want to maintain meat. I mean, you want to get a variety of meat sources to help you keep your testosterone levels up, which helps keep you anabolic. And when I'm cutting, I'm still eating meat like twice a day. Red meat, and different kinds of meat. And I'm also having chicken, turkey, fish. But the only time I would like start worrying about like the fat content from meat is maybe like 2 weeks out from a show or 3 weeks out from a show, and I have to eat more frequently, and the fish kind of gets digested a lot quicker. But I would maintain a variety of protein sources in your diet for a variety of amino acid profiles, whether you're bulking or cutting. The best rule of thumb is to have at least one different protein source, to never have the same protein source twice in the day. Okay. So if you're going to have 4 protein sources in the day, never have the same protein source twice. If you can start doing that, you're way ahead of the game.
Does that mean within meals, like if you're going to have 3 meals, different protein sources every time?
Every time. If you're having 6 meals a day, have a different protein source every meal. So like, maybe one meal is, ground beef for breakfast, and then you've got turkey, and then you've got white fish, and then you've got chicken, and then you've got salmon, and then you've got you know, a different kind of red meat, or, you know, there's so many different kinds of red meats, but don't eat the same, like don't eat ground beef twice.
Yeah. And what's the benefit of that? Why, you know, why?
Different amino acid profiles. So you don't, you know, if you're eating the same protein sources, then you're getting the same type of amino acids. You also can create an allergic reaction. Your body gets too used to the same protein source. So variety, and to prevent allergic reactions and create, you know, you don't want your body to adapt to one protein source.
All right, Vince. So I came across an article the other day talking about simple sugars after a workout. So the article says like it's beneficial to like maybe just grab a handful of gummy bears after a workout. What's your take on that?
I think it's really beneficial to have high glycemic carbs after a muscle building workout. It's going to help restore muscle glycogen faster. It's going to help you recover quicker. It's going to prevent muscle breakdown. I'm not a fan of gummy bears. There's zero nutritional value whatsoever from gummy bears. They put dye and coloring or whatever. And if you're going to go for high glycemic carbs post-workout, I would give you two criteria. One, try and get some nutrition value from it. So how can you get nutrition value from sugars? Well, have some grape juice or some raspberry juice or some cranberry juice where you're getting some vitamin C and you're getting some antioxidants. So that's the kind of high glycemic carb source that I prefer after a workout if I'm going liquid form. And then also, it's not wrong to only have carbs after your workout if you're under 10% body fat, but I like to reserve carbohydrates for when you get leaner. You've got to earn your carbohydrates. Yeah. So carbs also stop fat burning. So if you're over 10% body fat, I want to see you come down to 10% body fat first, because once you're 10% body fat, you'll utilize carbohydrates better. They'll get more partitioned to your muscle stores and not your fat stores. Okay, so I would save your high glycemic carbs post-workout for once you get around 10% body fat or lower. Okay? Okay. That's what I found to be an effective way to use carbohydrates. Does that make sense?
Yeah, perfect sense.
And again, there's nothing wrong with gummy bears, but I wouldn't say they're your best choice, not compared to other options you have. I go with the red juices. Okay. Instead. Yeah.
Awesome.
Who eats gummy bears anyways?
I don't know.
Protein gummy bears.
I think like my 9-year-old cousin eats gummy bears. I've never heard of an adult who eats gummy bears.
What's your favorite pre-workout snack? Let's say like you get the munchies before like 30 minutes.
I don't have snacks, I have meals. Okay. All of my meals are meals. So I have a meal plan, and there's 4 whole food meals and there's 1 shake on it. So one of my whole food meals is I like to have like a fast digesting protein like fish. So that way the amino acids are in your bloodstream while you're training, helping prevent muscle breakdown. And oftentimes I have my carbs like 4 hours before I train, and then my pre-workout meal, which is around an hour before I train, is usually like fat and protein. So it may be like, could be like some tilapia or some white fish cooked in coconut oil, or even with like some coconut flakes on top with some vegetables. So it's like a high protein with a bit of fat for energy, even some avocado, and that would be like my pre-workout meal. Okay. So I'm big on like, I find that I just respond better when I have the carbs earlier on in the day, away from the start of the workout or after the workouts, because I find carbs making me a bit drowsy, make me a little sleepy, and in the workout I want to be alert. I want to be focused. I want to be like, oh, I'm kind of tired right now. Yeah. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. So even if you're on the road and you don't have access to maybe a meal, you still wouldn't have, you know, some type of snack, or you would have something like an avocado, like you were saying.
Yeah, that's good. Another great pre-workout meal if you're on the road and you don't have time is if you have coconut, if you have like coconut oil, which are fats that can be used for instant energy, and to blend it up with your shake. So you get some energy from the fat, and then you get amino acids from the protein, which is in your bloodstream while you train. So having a protein shake with some coconut oil is a great pre-workout on the road kind of snack if you don't have anything fancy to make. Yeah. Those are like 2 things you can always keep on hand. It's kind of hardcore to have coconut oil with you, but it's, you know, it'll give you energy for your workout for those situations.
So Vince, what's your opinion of carb backloading, and you think that could benefit someone?
I think there's a lot of merit to it if it's something that someone can apply effectively. I think for some people, they're gonna have a hard time getting all their carbs in at one time of the day after a workout. Some people just don't have an appetite regardless to consume that much food. So it's important to get all your carbs in period throughout the course of the day to recover and to grow. So if you can apply it, I'm all about When anyone asks me anything about specific diets, it all comes back to sustainability. Is it something you can sustain? Or is it just kind of like a short-term diet to achieve a quick result? Now, if it's a short-term experiment or something to achieve a short-term result, then I'll say go for it, yeah. See how it goes. But for me, that's not a long-term diet. Because for me, I prefer to have my carbs spread out more evenly throughout the day. I find that's better for my energy, my focus, blood levels, and all that. So, and also, I have no interest whatsoever in consuming all my carbs in one meal. I can hardly eat like 2 cups of rice. I don't know how to get in all of my carbs after a workout. Yeah. So it's just not practical for me, and I don't think it's practical for a lot of other people. But if it's something that, again, nutrition isn't black and white, right? So there's always, it depends on the person, it depends on the context, you have to experiment with things. So it's hard to say, and again, at the end of the day, I think the most important thing is it sustainable, right? The best diet is the one you follow. So, does that help?
Yep.
Okay, cool.
All right, Vince, should anyone ever work out calorie deficit? Like
in a calorie deficit?
Yeah, in calorie deficit.
If you want to lose fat, yeah. And if you don't mind losing a bit of, I don't say you're going to lose muscle, but you're certainly setting up your potential for losing muscle mass, especially if you're training hard. If you're in a caloric deficit, well, not necessarily, depends on how high your protein intake is. So if you're getting in about 1.5 grams of protein per pound of body weight, you're going to have a lot less chance of losing muscle while in a caloric deficit. To lose fat, you have to be in a caloric deficit and you have to train. So I guess it really just comes down to how big is the caloric deficit, and as long as it's a small one and it's carried over time, then you're going to be fine. And as long as you drop your calories in increments, then you shouldn't feel like, oh my God, I've got no energy. But training in a caloric deficit is great for fat loss. You need to be in a caloric deficit, and just make the gradual drop, make the reduction in calories slowly so that you have energy to train and so that you don't lose muscle mass.
All right. So at the end of the day, sometimes you're busy all day. I wind up in a caloric deficit and I try to make up for it by, at the end of the night, taking a weight gainer shake. Is that really the best way to go about it?
If you're trying to build muscle, yeah. I mean, you know what I mean? At the end of the day, your body doesn't register fat loss based on a 24-hour clock. It's what's happening over the course of the week, over the course of the month, right? So yeah, you probably want to make up some of those missed meals after the workout for sure, especially if you've gone all day in a catabolic state and now you just broke down more muscle tissue in your workout. You probably want to like kind of double up on the meals, but sometimes you have to cut your losses because you can't make up 5 meals in one meal. You throw your hormones out of whack and you're probably not even going to be able to finish the meals. And yeah. So yeah, this all comes back to just good nutrition habits and minimizing errors as much as possible. The more consistent you are with your diet, the faster you see your results.
All right.
Yeah.
Perfect.
Yeah. Thank you.
Okay, sweet guys. All right, we'll see you guys next week. We're gonna do another video. These guys have some supplement questions, so we'll save that for a whole extra session. So thank you so much. Great questions, by the way.
Thank you,
Those
Vince.
are some good ones.
Thanks.
Yeah. Thank you. See you guys soon.